Hey everybody, welcome to the newest episode of Behind the Loo. I am Brennan, the host, and I'm joined with Adam and Sean as always. Sean has returned from his vacation from last week. So how did that go, Sean, with your trip to, I think it was New Jersey?
I stayed in New Brunswick, went to New York, went to Philadelphia, and then Asbury Park in New Jersey. And the East Coast is amazing. Nothing was cooler than seeing a bunch of blend of literally every East Coast hockey team at everywhere I went. So it was a good time.
Yeah. So Adam, how have you been since you feeling good about our bet so far with from last episode?
Yeah, I mean,
Especially the
season
awards with
once the
Nolan.
season starts, I'll feel a little better, but
Yeah, Nolan's doing really good so far in spring, so that's something I'm feeling good about that bet for him to win MVP. So we'll see how everything goes from there. But before we get started, I wanted to say congratulations to St. Louis SC on their first home game yesterday. That was awesome to
Dude,
go and watch
the
that.
videos that are coming out with it too, of just like seeing how many people are there to support is awesome too. Like
Yeah, there
they
was.
really
I
rallied
mean,
on it.
even like Friday, they had like that big block party where like Metro Boomin was there, and um, there were some like other artists doing like concerts and stuff. And the game was electric. The crowd was better than I anticipated. I thought, and I love how with MLS, not to get too much of a tangent on them, I love how they're on Apple TV because I like how you can like have like there's barely any ads on them because they have like the season pass thing with the membership with
Right.
Apple TV. So there's like no ads. I think the production quality with Apple TV is some of the best in sports. And just having that and then just the atmosphere on top of it, I thought it was fantastic. And I'm looking forward to see how they do. Cause I mean, so with them being an expansion team, they're ranked really low, but I mean, they've won their last two games and they beat Austin at home, which was kind of a shock to a lot of people. So they're making a statement. So that'll be something to look forward to for the summer and everything. But anyway, we're going to talk about with spring right now, how everyone's doing. The one thing I think everyone's talking about is Jordan Walker. I mean, this dude coming in the spring, people thought he would break out because he's never really every situation he's been like challenge he's put himself into, he's always stood up and accepted that challenge and just rode with it. But I don't think people really anticipated it to be like this elite level of production that he's putting up. Um,
Bombs. Just
I mean,
absolute
literally.
bombs off the
yeah,
bat.
spring training, dude. He so far this spring, let's see how many at bats he had. He has had 18 at bats. So again, it's a small sample size, but I think it's fair to like showcase on what he's doing because it needs to be talked about. He has a 500 batting average, a 1.167 slugging, a 1.667 OPS, 3 home runs, and 6 RBIs. And he had 2 yesterday and was 4 for 4 yesterday with a 2 home runs, a double, and a single. He was just a triple away from the cycle, and then he just hits his second home run of the day instead. So, I mean, and again, he's 20 years old. So I was wondering, like, I mean, we talked about it before with a WBC happening, he would have many opportunities to play every day. But at this point, the WBC hasn't even started yet, and he's already being one of the most talked about players right now in baseball with how his production is. So,
Right.
I mean, do you guys think like if he keeps going this trajectory, do you think it's just going to get better from here since now, like probably after this weekend, Nolan and Goldschmidt are gone, and Tyler O'Neill will probably be gone as well. Do you think he'll just even stand out even more, or do you think it'll just be a continuation of what he's doing already?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I
think
think
it.
he'll stand out.
Yeah, I think it's
Go
just
ahead,
gonna
Adam.
be. I think it's just gonna be a continuation. I mean, how like he's already in the spotlight right now. I mean, he's obviously all the stats you just listed, and
Yeah,
so I mean, I understand Goldschmidt and Arenado and like Newt Bar, they're not going to be there, but still, he's still slugging, and he's these numbers are just going to carry on. And I guess that's what I wanted to ask was if you think he's doing this well in spring training, do you think he's going to be able to carry this on into the like regular season if he gets the playing time?
I mean, I think he will. I mean, at this point, it's almost his spot to lose now I mean, at 18 at bats, if you doing that with like to start off the season, like spring training that hot, I mean, they're playing him almost every day at this point. They had him batting leadoff one day. They've had him batting seventh. They've had him batting cleanup, I believe, on one game. And I think today, they played today against the Mets in spring, and he's batting fifth. So he's jumping all over the lineup, and he's just still producing at every level of the lineup, and he's facing major league pitching still. And I mean, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't carry over. Like, obviously there might be a time where he slows down because pitchers adjust, and then he has to make the next adjustment. That's the hardest part about being a rookie. But I mean, I don't see anything going down really, like, especially in spring. I think it's just going to continue. And at this point, I think he's going to make opening day roster at this point, even though
there's no question with that, honestly. Like,
I mean, and now it kind of puts the pressure on Dylan Carlson, Tyler O'Neill. Like, Nootbaar pretty much has his spot solidified at this point for what he did last year. But the two that were struggling last year, they are now in a position to where, look, you are on the bench watching this kid that you've heard about for the last year on what he can do and how he can take your spot. And now you're seeing it happen.
Yeah.
And now how are you going to respond to that? Because, I mean, I don't know how it's going to work. I mean, I think Tyler O'Neill has a little bit of an advantage because of his skill set, because he has like the speed, he has the power. He's a legitimate 5-tool player.
Well, yeah, he has more of a pedigree right now, and that's just because of how long he's been in the league so far. But...
And he's done it too.
Yeah,
he's hit 30 plus home runs in 2021. Dylan Carlson, like, yeah, he's had good numbers through like the end of 2021. He's had stretches where he's been good, but he's not been like an elite level like Walker can be. And then you have like Dylan Carlson's mainly your center fielder, but Tyler O'Neill can play center too. He's already taking reps there. You have Nootbaar who can play center if needed as well. And I mean, to me, at this point, Jordan Walker has the left field spot, and it's just trying to figure out who gets the center field role.
And I think it comes down to consistency too, because I mean, Jordan Walker's been doing if like you said, if he continues to do this during the regular season, and if he's coming, like, I could see him being in the lineup the first game, first week, first couple weeks or whatever. If he comes out slugging like he is in the preseason, I mean, there's no reason why he shouldn't be in the lineup every day.
Yeah, and if they're gonna call him up too, he's going to play every day. They really can't afford to have him. They really don't want to have him like be up and down, you know, like on bench and stuff. Like they'll give him off days, obviously, but yeah, I mean, for me, he's my starting left fielder. And I put out a tweet yesterday of what this lineup would look like with Jordan Walker and what I would probably set this lineup to be. So for the opening day lineup, I have it as Nootbaar, the leadoff. I have Jordan Walker hitting second, which a lot of people were kind of confused by. I felt if you had Jordan Walker second, you had Goldschmidt and Arenado after him, he's going to get more pitches to hit because, you know, they're not going to want to pitch to Goldschmidt and Nolan because they're the superstars on the team.
Right.
And then he's just going to have more opportunity to succeed in that second spot. Then I think that's where he would fit best. But you can put him, I think you can put him anywhere he'll stride, to be honest. So obviously Goldschmidt, Arenado in 3 and 4. Contreras is 5th. Nolan Gorman as your DH. And we'll get into him too, because he's been having a pretty surprising spring as well. Tyler O'Neill in center field, Brendan Donovan, and Tommy Edman. I mean, that lineup is ridiculous.
It's just such a ridiculous lineup, dude, and I'm so excited about it, honestly.
This is one of the best lineups I can remember for the Cardinals, honestly. And it doesn't matter who bats where, to be honest. I mean, you can just take a variation of that and move different pieces around. This lineup will have, like, our worst hitter, in my opinion, has to be Tommy Edman, and he's still an 8-win player. So, I mean...
I think if all these guys come out, you know, full potential right out the gate this season, I think it's going to be one of the best lineups in baseball.
I think it will be, and I talked about that too. It's like I don't think people are really understanding how, especially like around the league and nationally, on how deep our lineup is. Because even that's just our starting 9. You still got Yepez as a bench bat. You got Burleson who could still play bench. You got Moises Gomez, who might be able to get an opportunity, who's slugged 30 home runs in AAA. And I said Alec Burleson, but he's slugged through AAA as well. You probably have Paul DeYoung on the bench as a middle infielder replacement, but he's had a pretty good spring. I mean, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. I don't want him to be in the starting lineup at all, but you have if you have Paul DeYoung just be a serviceable defensive shortstop with some like an average bat, I mean, that's better than most teams have on their bench. And then you have Andrew Kisner as the backup catcher, which, he's probably the worst hitter on the team. But I mean, it's your backup catcher still. So you have this team so deep with offense wise. It's just the pitching that worries me.
It's so interesting too to see that internal competition between all these batters too. Like, I don't think there's ever been that much competition to begin with in the past couple of years that I can think of. So to see everyone playing for spots is really nice.
Yeah, like Mozeliak even said, and he said that this spring, every spring he always says that it's a competition on who gets what role, but sometimes it's not always like that because you always can pencil in people. Like with this year, you can always pencil in Goldschmidt and Arenado. They're always going to be there. You can pretty much pencil in Tommy Edman as your shortstop. It's the rest of the it's like the whole outfield and the rest of the infield, and your catcher is obviously penciled in too with Contreras. But I mean, there's so much competition, and then there's a DH spot to compete for. There's bench bats to compete for. There's even bullpen pieces to compete for. I don't think there's much rotation just because I don't think a lot of the pitchers that we have would really be a good fit unless there was an injury. But I mean, yeah, but this team is so incredibly deep, and I think it will be one of the best offenses in baseball, if not the best. Because I mean, especially when you see in spring, like Nolan Arenado, for example, in 12 at bats, he has a 583 average, a 1.833 OPS, a 583 on base percentage, 2 home runs and 3 RBIs. And then you have Goldschmidt, who's done well. I don't have his numbers in front of me, but I think he's kind of similar to Arenado's stats. Nolan Gorman, he's kind of came out hot too. Nolan Gorman has 12 at bats. He's had 1 home run, 4 RBIs, a 3.33 average, which he has not really hit for average, which I know it's only 12 at bats, but still. It's impressive to see still.
Yeah.
A 429 on base percentage at a 1.012 OPS. So, he's performing well, and you obviously still have Walker, and then Donovan is developing power out of nowhere. He's had 2 home runs in his few games that he's played. That. I mean, that's just, this team's just ridiculous. If Brendan Donovan develops power, then that's just another level of power on this team that is just insane to even think about. So, but moving on from the offense and kind of talk about the pitching, Adam Wainwright has not been good. He
should have retired last year.
It's not been good. And, when the signing happened, I talked about it. Sean and I talked about it. I put it on Twitter. I've said all this. It was the worst decision they could have made this offseason to bring him back. It really was. I don't care what anybody says.
They made the best decision with getting a new catcher, and then the worst decision of bringing back an old guard still.
But the thing is, it's not real. The thing that sucks about Adam Wainwright's situation is I wouldn't even care if he was on the team. That's not the problem, because he could still get you valuable innings when needed. But the problem is the money he's being paid. I don't care how much he's being paid, but they didn't go out and get another arm because of how much he's being paid.
Right.
He's being paid $17 million. He's the highest paid rotation piece on our team. Michaelis is making less. Flaherty's making less because he's still pre-arm. Matt is making less. Montgomery's making less. He's a 41-year-old who can barely touch 87 miles per hour with his fastball is making the most money in our rotation. And that's a problem.
Insane. Yeah,
that's a big problem.
That's huge.
And I don't know. He was just getting shelled. He was getting shelled these last 2 games.
They put themselves in just such a bad spot with it too, because now it's I don't know how your guys' CBA works, but you guys are allowed to release people, right?
You can, but you have to you lose the salary. You still have to pay them, but
But either
And
way,
then
like it's still like you're
if you
still
release
paying
them,
for nothing.
yeah,
at
if you
this
release
point.
them, then he could go to a different team. But they're not going to release him.
Yeah,
Why?
'cause it'd be
Why would the
it'd be a
Cardinals
PR
release him?
nightmare.
It would be a PR nightmare. It would look so terrible to release Adam Wainwright. And I'm not saying to release him now, but here's the big problem. Last year we talked about it too. He was struggling in September. He had a very bad September. He had a solid year to begin 2022, but then in September something happened where he was not the same. His velocity wasn't the same.
He slept on his arm wrong.
I don't know what happened. I think he alluded it to where his mechanics were messed off in the Brave series that happened in August. He got hit in a pitch on the knee, and now it like threw off his mechanics. Like he couldn't make the landing right. So it's like, okay, he said that in the offseason. So it's like, okay, maybe I believe Adam Wainwright. You know, he's been in this game for this long. He's been a Cardinal like legend at this point. You know, like I'll give him the benefit of the doubt going into this. But I did not really want to re-sign him because I knew that we would not have gotten another piece if we brought him back. And here we are with no other piece. And he comes in, he sucks. I mean, absolutely, there's no other way to describe it. He just flat out sucks. You cannot last in this league with 86 miles per hour as your fastest pitch right now.
He's going to get rubbed. He's going to get rubbed.
And I think the thing he didn't realize was the fact that he's a 41-year-old man. Like your body does not heal the same way like 6 years back than it would as a 41-year-old. And I think he's really like underplayed that.
Let me find what the quote was, because before like the first game, he said something along the lines of like his mechanics were off or something like that. And let me find what he said recently, because he said something along the lines of like, yeah, his mechanics are still messed up, and his like he had like a blister on his finger from when he was cooking something. I don't know. It's just gotten to the point to where it's gotten to the point where it's just he's just finding excuses, and that's not what Adam Wainwright usually does. You know what I mean? Adam Wainwright usually, like when in 2019, like when he came back that year, but like in 2018 when he's about to retire almost, he was holding himself accountable. You know what I mean? And now it almost seems like he doesn't hold himself accountable anymore. And these questions that he's getting, at least that's what I'm seeing. I could be wrong.
Yeah, it's so sad to think about. Like this, we've been talking about this dude trying to retire for 5 years now.
Yeah, and I love Adam Wainwright. He's one of my favorite Cardinals, but it's just gotten to a point to where we can't just
he's
let
unreliable.
this keep going.
You guys are in a young period where it's time for a new team. You know, not like a whole brand new team, if you know what I'm saying, but like
just move on from the past.
Yeah,
I know
exactly.
what you're trying to say.
It's the farewell tour was last year. We got it. It was great. And there was a piece of the puzzle that didn't go back in the box, and that was fucking Adam Wainwright. And it sucks talking about people who are legends like this, like exactly what people talk about, like Tom Brady last year, and everybody who's like old. You know how good they were, but now it's like, okay, it's we all know what you did. You can't do that anymore. It's time.
I think Aaron Rodgers, going to NFL point, I think Aaron Rodgers will be that this year. I think he will not be as good this year or this next year.
Solid no from Adam.
False take.
What, you think I'm wrong? You think he's going to come out elite?
Yes.
No. I don't think he will. I don't think.
No, it's like
he's okay. I'm not.
We're not going to go into. We're not going to go into.
All I'm saying is he's going to a team with wide receivers, and he's going to take them to the playoffs. That's all I'm saying. But like, even
I don't know about that.
It's everybody around the league, like just sports in general. It's like this dude is just holding on for dear life at this point for whatever reason. Like, I don't get Wainwright's reason for staying at all.
Yeah. And the one thing I think it was he wanted to get the 200 wins because I think it solidified his Hall of Fame, like what he could bring. Like, I think it would make him more likely to enter the Hall of Fame. But I don't think, does that really matter? Are you really going to go? Like, I think even if you retire, do I think he's a baseball Hall of Famer? I don't think so. I think he's obviously a Cardinal Hall of Famer. I think that's no question. But I don't know if he. I just don't think he's a baseball Hall of Famer because he's dealt with injuries a lot through his career, like especially the early part. And yeah, he was elite in 2013 and 14 and 15, but I don't know if it was enough to make him be the number like a Hall of Famer, but maybe his personality and just the name Adam Wainwright gets him in. But stat wise, I don't think it really fits.
I think personally, it's just more of an ego thing at this point, just to get.
I'm
not
gonna say that because it's just I just don't know. I don't know.
It's just getting more credentials for your name brands. That way, you're like.
But does he need that though? Is that really what it is?
Maybe he's worried that like he hasn't done enough, and I think that's a general like human concern for a lot of people, and maybe even more with players of like, have I done enough in this sport to where I've made my mark? I mean, yeah, he has the record with Yachty. That's an MLB record, and that's going to stand the test of time forever now. But other than that, like, he has the World Series too. Or does
he has multiple World Series. Multiple,
yeah, he has 2 World Series under his belt, and it's
3 pennants.
I don't know, and that's why I think it's a big concern for a lot of people, and especially him. It's like, has he done enough to earn that spot? And that's always going to be the conversation. But the fact that if he would have done it last year, where he just retired, or even like, let's say, I don't know how many wins he's at right now off the top of my head, but let's say,
find out.
While he's like, finishing up the year last year with Yachty and Pujols, like that storyline alone, I think would have been enough. But to continue on after, it tarnishes that a bit. So that's my biggest thing with it.
It's a letdown too.
Yeah, it's a
everybody.
Very big letdown.
Everybody assumed that he would go with Pujols and Yachty, and I mean, I just can't wrap my head around it because there's no reason to stay. I understand the 200 wins thing, but like at this point, you might not get it. Like the way he gets thrown in spring training, he might not get it.
He's at 195.
So he needs 5.
He should have retired last year.
He could have got. He can get. I think he'll get 200, but it's just I don't know. I mean, here's the other problem with Adam Wainwright right now. He's having these mechanical problems. He's having these problems in spring training. Now what? Usually in a normal spring, you would just work with the trainers, work with the pitching coach, whoever you work with, and try to figure out what's going on. Now he's participating in the WBC. So he's going to play competitively right now. And if you're going to go to the WBC and play, when you have all these problems, you're going to get shelled by the Dominican team or Japan. Yeah. I don't know the pool setup, so I don't know when he will pitch or whatever, but he's just going to get it's just going to be a problem. Like, I don't know why you would he should have opted out of the WBC at this point, in my opinion. Because you have
worked on his mechanics.
Yeah, you should have worked on your mechanics and try to figure out what's going on because you're holding your team back. This team, if you look at this team right now, like I said, this lineup has the potential to be the best lineup in baseball. And then you are going to waste another Goldschmidt and Arenado year because you want nostalgia of Adam Wainwright again. And that is the problem that I have with the Cardinals organization, is that they are so focused on nostalgia and getting those feelings in to sell tickets to casual fans who don't really follow the team as much as we do. That is the problem I have with this franchise. And this is the problem I have with bringing back people who should not have been brought back. Yachty probably shouldn't have been brought back. And now it's happening again with Wainwright. And we're paying him because of the name, not because of what production he's going to do. And not because of what he's done the last couple years or last year. He's being paid just for the name of being Adam Wainwright. And that's the problem I have.
Yeah. He's not being based off of potential right now. There's no reason he should be the highest paid pitcher in your guys' rotation right now.
There's absolutely no reason for it at all.
No,
and
it's a waste of money.
I don't know. And here's my question. If it gets so bad to let's say he goes to WBC and it's bad. It's really bad. Then he comes back and then he starts opening day and it's bad. And then he goes his next start and it's bad. What do we do?
How much of pretty much how much of a runway does he have? I would say maybe you give him maybe 20 games before you actually ask questions.
20 games?
I was going to say 10.
He starts 5 games. He starts a game every 5 days. You want to wait 10 to 20?
You know that he's going to get backup from Ollie and Mo to where they're gonna keep being like, oh no, he's just working through it. We gotta power through all this, and they're gonna start everyone else, of course, but it's gonna be like spread out to where he'll have 20 games started, and then you'll ask the questions of it.
Just a comparison, Sean. In 2022, he had 32 games played.
Are you serious?
Well, yeah, it's a starter. He pitches every 5 days.
I'd give him if he starts out the season like
I give him 5.
0-5.
I give him 5 games. It's
If he's
if it's bad for 5 games, you're done. You're going on the Phantom IL. That's at that point because I'm not going. You cannot just push this team back when and the front office needs to be prepared to do that because it's a strong possibility that it might happen. And I don't know.
Do you think
yeah,
it'll
dude.
happen though?
No, I don't think it will happen.
He
will pitch. But here's the thing. If it's this bad, like especially regular season, from what I know with Adam Wainwright, I feel like he would back out. I think he would say, maybe it was a mistake to come back. You don't think so? I think he will.
No. He came back for a reason. Like,
yeah, he accepted that contract.
He has a lot of pride in him to want to keep playing. And that's why I'm like, that's my concern.
But if it's so bad, Sean, I'm talking like he can't hit 88. He's at 86 miles per hour on his fastball.
Just gotta get the arm going, just gotta keep it going. That's what I think is gonna happen. Like you said.
Best case scenario, he comes out, dude. This is all a ruse, right? This is a ruse. Everybody.
I hope to God.
And he's just warming up, and he comes out opening day and just fucking lights her up, dude.
And the thing is, he will be the opening day starter. I know it's not 100%, but it's I mean it's his last year. He's gonna be the opening day
or
starter.
home opener.
Well, opening day is home opener,
Yeah.
so he will be. It says it's the same. He will be it.
Okay.
And yeah, it's against the Toronto Blue Jays. So that could go one of 2 ways. I don't know. That could go really bad.
Well, obviously, you go one of 2 ways because you have to win or lose, Brendan.
Well, no, but he's either gonna shove. He's either gonna shove or he's gonna be awful. I don't think it'll be an in between. I hope I'm just over panicking, like overreacting with it all, but I can't. I can't see. I can't see the season be ruined by Adam fucking Wainwright. I can't have that happen.
I've seen that face on Brendan so many times while talking about Adam Wainwright, where he's just like, God, I can't deal it anymore with this man.
Yeah, it's just
so bad.
It's bad with this stuff, but I don't know. It's just I hope I'm wrong. Adam, if you are listening for some reason, I love you. Don't take it personally. No, don't take it personally from me, but I don't know. I think you should have retired. I think it would have been better, but I hope you prove me wrong. You've done it before, so
it would be really cool if you come on the podcast. I'm sorry.
That would be really cool. We love you, Adam. But I know that kind of completes everything with spring at this point. I know there one more thing. People are talking about how Jack Flaherty's start was messed up. He was supposed to start today. He's available in the bullpen out of today, but apparently he was having like flu-like symptoms and had cramps, and people are like panicking. I'm not panicking right now. I just every time you hear Jack Flaherty and delay, people panic because
he's not ready.
He's hurt. He's hurt again. But I'm not worried about Jack. I think he'll pitch today out of the bullpen, and we'll see what happens. But I'm not putting too much stock into all these people saying that he's already hurt. So that kind of completes everything. But I know Sean wanted to talk about the Blues.
Mainly review the.
I wanted to ask Sean, how did Doug do at this deadline?
Doug Dibadome?
Yep.
No, Doug Armstrong.
Doug Armstrong.
What did he do?
DA. The DA of the of the St. Louis Blues GM DA. If I were to give it a rating, it's a solid A-, guys. This has been a great trade deadline for what we came into, and here's why. You're going into this year, and Doug made the smart decision for the team of simply this: we are not good enough, and I am not going to support this team for this year. And that was a very controversial thing because for the past decade, we have been a competitive team, always in the playoff hunt and always doing our best to make playoffs. And Doug answered all of our questions for us because the few podcasts leading up to it, we were always wondering like maybe they could go on a run, maybe they have it in them. Doug said, no, Thomas and Kyrie this year do not have it in them to support this team going forward, and I'm not going to let O'Reilly, Tarasenko, and all these players go for free. I'm not buying into this year, and that is probably the smartest thing to do, given the draft year and how much the East has loaded up and overpaid for so many things going forward. So
This was like the worst year. It's one of the worst years that we had, but it's like the best year for us to be this bad.
they picked a great year to be bad. And to put it in perspective, you can look at Nashville Predators. They traded off a lot of key pieces and players that they've drafted in like name states, and Matthias Ekholm and Tanner Jeannot, I think, who went to Tampa Bay. And they got so many draft picks, like so many. And with that all being said, to just review everything that we got, we have 2 first rounds in this year's draft that we obtained. So we have the total of 3, which is still the most first round picks by any team. Now, given it is Toronto's first round pick, it is the New York Rangers' choice of a first round pick, whether it be their own or Dallas's. So if you're a Blues fan, you're rooting for Dallas, New York, and Toronto all to be dropped within the first round. That's what you have to root for this year. You have 3 first round picks this year. You also have a extra third round pick this year. You then have a second next year, an extra third next year. You get Zach Dean, who was a first round pick the same year as, I believe, Zach Bolduc, who's in the QMJHL, which is the Quebec Minor Junior Hockey League. That is a very prestigious league, and they're both playing as centers. That's your new 1-2 going forward for the next 6 years in Bolduc and Dean if they develop properly. You bring back Sammy Blais, who is someone who was looking to come back. Like, he never wanted to leave, but you go back to the trade that I reviewed a while back ago where you got Buchnevich for a second round and Blais, and to get Blais back, it's a steal.
Yeah.
You then pick up Kasperi Kapanen, former Pittsburgh Penguin, who had a rough year and hanging in with the Penguins and whatnot. And I don't think he ever meshed well with the coaching staff that they had there. You get him for free off waivers. And you have him for next year as well. So you have someone who's wanting to prove himself. Going back to that whole argument that we have, you have Skinner, Abramov, and Gaudette, who are all like prospects or just kind of minor league players as filler. And of course, you lose the main 3 of Tarasenko, O'Reilly, and Barbashev, but you get what you want. You get the first round picks that you needed. Now, given Barbashev that's a project, or I shouldn't say project, you get the prospect of Zach Dean, who turns out to be a first round pick the same year as Bolduc, but still you get that. And then the depth you lose is an Achari, also a UFA, and Nico Mikkola, also UFA. But on the defensive side, you're already locked into their top 4. You have Scott Perunovich coming back. You have Tyler Tucker, who came up and has shown that he's a monster of a defenseman and has that size that you've always wanted. And the biggest thing with it that happened recently on trade deadline day, you got Jacob Vrana for a 2025 7th round pick. That is 2 years out, a 7th round pick. That is literally nothing. And with Jacob Vrana, that is an interesting story. Okay. Brendan asked me this, and he wanted us to say this for the podcast. And here's why. Jacob Vrana was traded from Washington. He was on the 2018 Cup Run team. And I think he has a 30-goal record on him. I think he's gotten 30 goals before. I'll have to double check that. But to make it really short on why he was so cheap, he had a problem this year and I think last year. Last year he was injured for most of the season, but came back and still did pretty okay, I think. I want to double check the numbers with it too. And the biggest thing with this year was that he had to go into the NHLPA recovery system or something like that because he had a problem. You know, he had to go and get help for whatever that problem was. The NHL is very secretive with it. I don't know what it was, but you know, it was a personal thing that he had to take on. It could be, you know, whether you know, could be anything that we speculate on, whether it be, you know, substance abuse or anything like that, but he just wants to play hockey, and he wasn't going to get that with Detroit because he was never going to get the fair deal there because they're trying to rebuild or restart their rebuild again going forward. That's why they sold off a lot. But I have faith that Jacob Verona could get it done. And, Craig Berube is one of the better coaches on helping players get better. Like, he's done it with a lot of other players. And, like, another good case was Robbie Fabry in 2019. He wanted to help him get back to the level that he could be. He couldn't, but he made it sure that he had a role with the team going forward until his role dissolved, sadly, and they had to trade him away for Jacob De La Rosa and whatnot. And, it's very hard to see players who have trouble like that. And you want the best for them, but, it's just, again, it's on the player to want to seek the help and get better and get back to the game that they had.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I think overall, though, I think it was a good deadline for them, especially when it really jump started the rebuild. Not the rebuild, like the retool.
The whatever.
And,
I'm
yeah.
kind of over that whole thing too. Of just like everyone saying, "Oh, it's a retool, it's a rebuild, it's a this, it's a whatever." It's just we're getting to the next rotation of what we need.
Do you think that it was enough to where they can be at least contenders next year? I know I know it kind of sets them up for the offseason mainly, but do you think that we're in a good place to go into this next offseason and make acquisitions we need
So
to
Doug
get
to
that level again?
Yeah. Doug has said that he wants to bring back or try and get another player for the top 9 forward group. That he said that a lot, and that Zach or Jake Neighbors definitely has a spot next year, which is really good to see too, him develop in that way. It sucks to see him develop with such a rough team to go around, to where he has to be more defensively liable instead of doing his offensive outpour. But if the real question is whether or not do I see us make playoffs next year, I mean, it's a possibility, but I don't have hopes on it. I could see us just being middle of the pack, roughly, maybe finishing in the, like, draft wise, because that's the way I look at it. We're finishing roughly around 10th through 5th through 10th overall. 5th being like we're like absolutely terrible, like we just don't win another game for the rest of the year, and 10th being like, all right, we put some effort into some games. But next year I could see us maybe around 10 to 14th around. Like, there is a chance because the West has always been just so weak compared to the East. But, Jacob Verona is also, he's coming back next year too, because he has this year and next year on his contracts. And same with Kasperi Kapanen. So, and Sammy Blais also just re-signed for $1 million too, which is cheap, easy. Give me that, because I'm a big Sammy Blais fan. But those are 3 players, a full lineup, who's wanting to prove themselves that they belong in the NHL and that they're wanting to keep, stay in this league. And, as we talked about it, nothing is more motivating than internal competition between players and self-motivation with this. And they're coming off on this will be their, like, prove it next deal. Like, prove it this year and you'll get a better contract next year. And that's, nothing is better than motivation, basically.
Yeah.
And this team will be more motivated next year than it is currently.
Yeah. Do you think this offseason we will get a defenseman to kind of pair with Parayko? Since I thought he might have been moved.
Yeah, and that's the other big thing, is whether or not, defensive wise, if, Doug Armstrong wants to move a defenseman. And
I think for Parayko, you just need a guy like Jay Bouwmeester to fit with Parayko.
I think we just need a new defensive scheme and coaching staff.
Didn't we just hire the dude?
Craig McTavish was not the guy. He is not the guy for this team.
We just brought him in this year, wasn't it?
Right. And
that was when everything went down.
I don't know what the coaching contracts look like. I know Berube's safe. Here's who you have on coaching staff. You have what's his name? Something Savard or something like that. I have to double check this now because it's gonna bug the shit out of me. And then you have Steve Ott, who's a former player with us too, and apparently he's really smart. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if later on he does become his own head coach somewhere, because he has that kind of talent and whatnot. And now Craig McTavish, who's supposed to replace Jim Montgomery. Craig McTavish is not the guy. Like, I'm happy for him. Like, a while back ago, he led the 2006 fucking Oilers to a Stanley Cup, but hasn't done really jack shit. He was a part of like a lot of the Oilers trying to rebuild and didn't do well in it. I just don't see it. There's still also Larry Robinson. He's still one of the coaches that have been around since 2019. Maybe his schemes have just become outdated and they need to move on from him. I don't know, but Doug has brought up the fact that like something coaching wise did not work this year. And
Yeah.
I genuinely believe it was Craig McTavish. Another big thing, it's Mike Van Ryn. That's the dude who I was thinking of as one of the other coaches here. I do like him too because he's very straightforward with players. It's just I just can't. I still don't believe that it's a player problem. I really think it's coaching. You can't tell me that these players, this defensive core, just forgot how to play hockey this season when last year they were going against Colorado. That doesn't make sense to me at all.
Yeah, it's like a different. It's just a different style and just different playmaking. Just I don't know.
Yeah, and you got better defensively because you're bringing back Letty. I know people will say that Letty wasn't it and that he took David Perron's spot. That argument has gone on all year. He is what the Blues needed for this because I cannot imagine this defensive core without him and still thinking Marco Scandella is the right guy for it. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. This is still again, all these defensive pairings and these players are great players. I just can't believe that they don't know how to play defense this 1 year.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why is Torrey Krug on the bottom pairing with Robert Bertuzzo or Tyler Tucker? It doesn't make sense. You got him in here as your power play quarterback, and he's supposed to be playing with Justin Falk. Why is he not? Is something not working? Like, what are we doing coaching wise?
What's wrong? Like what's going on with this whole thing? But yeah, it just I'm curious to see what they do this offseason, especially coaching wise, to see if he's out, like Batavish is out. I mean, I feel like you have to. I mean, I don't know. Or at least
I don't know.
At least have a talk and be like, what we did this year obviously was awful, and we can't do it.
It's not part of our expectations.
It's that the structure that you have it set up as is not right for this group, and you gotta make that adjustment. But I don't know why they didn't do it early in the year.
I will say
Who
this
knows?
though, I really hope we don't trade the 2 first-round picks that we did get from Toronto and New York just to get rid of Colton Parayko. I don't.
Oh,
want
that would
that
be
to
awful.
I don't want that to be a storyline at all.
That'd
for
be
this
terrible.
season.
I would
just
never
say
do that.
hold on to the I would just say hold on.
Just hold Parayko at that point. That's what I would do. Just try to get a defenseman like Jay Bouwmeester, like that kind of role that,
or even
kind of like just take him under his wing and just be what he was. I mean, he got the 8-year deal for a reason, and I would not attach any of those first rounders to that deal. The only way I would attach one if, like, let's say the Rangers win the cup, then maybe.
Or even like if you tell me that
it might not be worth it.
If you were to tell me that you traded Colton Parayko with 2 first-round picks to San Jose for Erik Karlsson, fuck yeah, I'm taking that every day. That dude is amazing, and but I just draft. And if it doesn't go well, develop. And if it doesn't go well next year, and you still want to make Colton Parayko the whipping boy, then figure out something to do. But just don't trade any picks with him. Just do a 1-for-1 or like even a lesser defenseman. Either way, and just accept the fact that you messed up on it. But I don't think so. Again, I'm still in the camp of Colton Parayko can't be this bad. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll have to see what happens. But it's an interesting thing to look for. I'm not watching any of the Blues games for the rest of the year. I'm not doing it.
Yeah, I watched a bit of the LA game last night. It was pretty good.
St. Louis SC and the Battlehawks are my teams now for this time. So,
all right, you guys want to do the Q&A part?
Yeah, we can do that, and then we'll wrap it up.
So, before we get into one, I've got one. I want to know your guys' thoughts on this because I had an argument with my brother about this yesterday. So I'm watching the UFC fights, and I told him that it was a strawweight fight. And if you don't know what strawweight is, it's between 112 and 105 weight class. And I told my brother he could not last in the ring for 1 round against either of the 2 girls in there. So my question is, if you had your life is on the line, right? You get one shot. You get one full at bat against any MLB pitcher currently in the league. You get one round in a UFC fight against a strawweight division girl who would be like, I can't remember who her name is. You get 3 shots at trying to make a 3-pointer for the NBA. Which one are you? Or no, or if you get a shootout chance against any NHL goalie for your life, or you die. Which one are you picking?
Give me a shootout, dude.
You're done with the shootout?
Give me the 3-pointer. I'll do the 3-pointer.
Really? I'm taking
I would do the I'm not taking the MLB.
I'm
no
taking
way.
the MLB at bat. That's me personally.
You
I listen. I play when I was in high school. I've gone up against players.
I think we need to change this question a little bit. For the MLB pitcher, I think he needs a specific pitcher. And for the shootout, I think he needs a specific goaltender.
Adam Wainwright.
Home run.
Then I'm taking MLB. I'll just wait for him to throw that curveball for me.
Still, 87 for like
no, it's hard. I'm
for
kidding,
a normal human being is difficult.
It's very.
I've gone up. When I was in high school, I went up against someone who threw. I think he topped out at like 93. That wasn't fun. It was not fun.
High school at 93 is pretty good.
Yeah, he went D1, but I don't think he got drafted. I know someone else did, but
he was definitely going to college. But
no, here's why I say shootout. By the way,
but I'll do NBA. I'm gonna do my NBA real quick
because this is the only. There's this and the UFC one. Or I'm glad you guys have common sense and you didn't pick the UFC one because I don't think anybody would last 20 seconds in a ring with any UFC fighter.
Yeah. So, but the NBA one, I like the NBA one because I think it's just. Wait, how many shots do I get? Just one.
You get. I'll be nice. I'll give you 2.
Two shots. I'm taking the NBA.
Any point on the 3, like it's a 3-point contest. You get 2 shots.
Either the
wing. Key,
I've seen people do half court shots there. Like just like random people, like doing like a giveaway. I'd much rather do the 3-pointer.
But their life's not on the line and people miss it.
No,
they're not there with a gun against.
I'll do the 3. I'm gonna do the 3-pointer because I'm not hating an MLB pitcher. There's no way. I played Little League. I sucked. I was bad at baseball.
See, I played my.
I wish I was good.
I'm confident that if my life was seriously on the line, I could probably. Or you just have to make contact. Fair. Obviously, it's got to be fair. You just have to make contact.
Wait,
yes.
It could be a little dribbler.
Or draw.
Okay, then I'm taking the MLB.
I'm switching. I
thought it had to be like a over the infield type hit.
Yeah, it's got to be solid contact.
Okay, then I'm taking
like a
the
solid
NBA.
Ground ball, but it can't be like a little dribbler back to the pitcher.
No, I'm taking the NBA then.
See, I'm taking the at bat because in my head I'm just gonna like pitch count. I'm gonna mess with the pitcher's mind, and I'm drawing the walk.
Yeah, you just mess with the counter.
Yeah. All right.
I say shootout because it's specifically NHL goalies deal with pucks coming at them at like 100 miles per hour constantly. So the concept of me slowly going by is gonna really mess with their time.
What is this like a 80s NHL movie where it's just like slowly dribbling down?
Exactly.
The goalie accidentally
Mighty Ducks that shit.
I can't even ice skate. I can't skate at all.
I can skate all right, dude. I'm pretty confident in my skating abilities.
I have a bad story with roller skating. I'm not talking about it. So any sort of skating, I'm not doing it.
All right. So we're gonna go to the Q&A questions. This is from Marmal Season. Predictions for Jordan Walker's stat line and his impact this year.
I can't really give a stat line, really. Like, I'm not going to name out the whole stat line because it's just kind of hard to really predict. But
what if I set an over/under on home runs this year?
Well, I'll do that.
All right. I'm gonna blurt a number. You say over/under.
Okay.
I'm gonna set it. I'm gonna set it at. Let's go. This might be low, but 18.
I think we'll take the.
Dude,
I'm gonna take the under.
Like $10.
I'm gonna take the under. Not because I don't think.
Was low.
I mean, I don't think it's not like I don't think Jordan Walker can hit more than 18. But my thing is like this first year in the MLB. You know, if you hit 18 home runs as a rookie, that's impressive.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think so. Realistically, I think he could hit around 15 home runs for the season. Like this is just me just making up shit. I have no really basis besides what he's done in the past. I think 15 home runs. I think he will have a really good on base percentage. I think around 300 on base percentage. I think he will be a middle of the lineup guy. I really do. I think that'll be a big thing for him, and I think he could be one of the best players on this team.
What
this
about
year.
if we set the over under on batting average at 165?
What? That's
Yeah.
way over.
Way
165 batting average?
Yeah, you gotta start low because if I
That's
start
so
high, I'm just
that's
gonna get
terrible. If
under.
he's hitting 165, I'm
You always want to
pissed.
set it low because you don't ever want to bet the under. Simple. It's that simple.
Yeah, he's gonna hit over 240 batting average, I think.
Fine.
Yeah,
I'll put
I'll put 260 on his batting average.
okay.
260, 15 home runs. Let's go with middle of the lineup. I'll give him, if he's gonna be here all year, I'll give him 50 RBIs. And then they go around 300 on base percentage, and I think he will be a big piece of this lineup, like one of the best hitters. So
I think he tears his UCL and is out for the whole season.
All right.
fuck you,
Thanks.
Adam. That's fucked up. Don't even manifest that shit.
All right. This is from Moe's Cooking Season or Arenado Stan. This guy seems like a big
I
just
didn't
choose
know all
one.
these people. It's really funny.
This is a good question because just
This
how
is Dalton.
podcast went.
He's funny. He knew I was gonna talk shit about Wainwright today.
Is Adam Wainwright a Hall of Famer?
Brennan?
No, I don't think he is.
I don't even want to elaborate that. I think we already.
I don't think he's an MLB.
about it.
But I know I don't think he's an MLB Hall of Famer. I think he is a Cardinal Hall of Famer. If he gets to 200 wins, I think it's a possibility for him to be an MLB Hall of Famer. But I don't know how this issue could go. If he puts up a year, if let's say this is just a fluke what he's doing in spring, if he can put out what he did at 21 this year, that's like really hopeful. Then I think he could be in conversation. Not first ballot, no way. I think the classes are just gonna be too high this year.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a while for him to be there, but I think he will be remembered as one of the better pitchers of baseball. And obviously a Cardinal legend and a Cardinal Hall of Famer, but I don't know I think saying baseball Hall of Famer is a little high. So
All right.
we'll see.
Oh, damn it. Hold on. Next one is from Charlie the Goat. Who is your least favorite baseball player and why?
So I'm going to answer this 3 different ways because I don't know if he means Cardinal, if he means current, or all time. So I'm going to do all 3. My least favorite Cardinal is Ty Whittington. If you don't remember who that was, Ty Whittington was he was like a first baseman. I think he was brought in as a bench bat. And actually, no, I'm changing my answer. No, not Ty Whittington. Pete Kozma is my least favorite player. I remember him being the shortstop. He had that big moment in Washington, so people like him, but I never liked him. I found him to be he committed errors in big moments. I'll never forget those errors he made in the World Series. It was awful in 2013. He was awful at the plate. He hit like 1 home run 1 year.
Mine all time has to be Pedro Alvarez, easily for the Pirates. So
all time?
All time. I just hate him.
Okay. So all time for me. I want to go Ryan Braun. I want to go Ryan Braun because he's a steroid user. He's a piece of shit. I don't fucking like him. But I think I'm gonna go Alex Rodriguez as my all-time.
A-Rod?
Yeah, I fucking hate. I hate him today. I hate him on the booth. I hate him ever. He's a fucking cheater and he's fucking annoying. He's egotistical and he's a great player, but I don't fucking like him. I hate his personality.
Time out. I want to clarify something. I just thought of this. You said Ryan Braun is a steroid user and he's your least favorite player of all time, correct?
He is a steroid user. Yeah.
But wasn't Mark McGwire a steroid user too?
Yes. But
so that argument is
here's the thing. Ryan Braun was technically tested positive. Wait, hang on.
You're justifying steroid.
I'm justifying Mark McGwire here.
Here we go.
Let's go back a little bit. Look at the time period that Mark McGwire was playing. Steroids were prevalent everywhere. Sammy Sosa,
They
Mark
still
McGwire,
are
Barry
now,
Bonds.
but they just choose not to do them.
No, they are active. They are not as active now, and they do shit about it. They test them all the time. So don't say that he don't do anything right now. Ryan Braun tested positive twice. He was only punished once because he did something happened where he accused the person testing to like manipulating it in some way, and it turned out that the tester fucked up and brought the sample home with them instead of taking it straight to the MLB like a fucking idiot. So because that happened, he was not punished for it the first time. Then he tested positive for it the second time. And that was, and then when he tested positive for it the second time, that's when people really stopped liking him. And he's just fucking annoying. He was a Brewer. He was a central rival. I didn't fucking like him. He was annoying. But Alex Rodriguez is worse. He's way worse than Ryan Braun was because Alex Rodriguez just literally was one of the greatest players, and that's what really made me mad. It was like he would have been an easy Hall of Famer. Obviously, he would have been talked about. He's still talked about a lot, but he would have been a lot bigger if it didn't come out that he cheated. And he's egotistical, and he's just a piece of shit. And his broadcasting is terrible.
But he's married to Jennifer Lopez.
Is he still?
Yeah,
I don't know if he is.
I think that outweighs a lot of the negatives in his life, Brendan. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I mean,
I think he's still married to her. At least they were.
No, oh no, this is old. Who is his?
So
spouse?
that's under his belt.
It is under his belt. I'll give him that. It's pretty impressive. But he was one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Like technically, like he was huge, dude. Like I think people forget how massive he was. Let's see who his spouse
Jennifer
is.
Lopez knows how massive he is.
Maybe after the steroids.
Yeah. Every time I talk about steroids, it reminds me of that scene from the Benchwarmers. There must be steroids in macaroni.
But the one thing about Mark McGwire though, to justify him, he did come out and say that he did cheat. And I know Alex Rodriguez did too, and Ryan Braun, but they did it early, and that did it twice. So, and again, different time period. But is Mark McGwire one of my favorite players of all time? No, he's not. So I think it kind of evens up. I don't hate him.
All right. Next question from.
Oh wait.
What?
Current player. I forgot to answer the current player one.
Jesus
I didn't know
Christ.
the current player that I hate the most. Who do I hate the most?
Jose Altuve for me. I hate that little son of a bitch.
I don't hate him.
I honestly have a thing.
Altuve.
I just do. I just don't know why. It's a stupid.
I don't like George Springer at all.
I don't.
He's another part of the Astros team, but
Garrett Cole.
I don't like.
I think he's a dick.
Josh Donaldson. I fucking hate
Josh Donaldson.
I hate Josh Donaldson.
If I had to
who's
pick
a Brewer
current,
that I hate?
This is you can't.
I hate Willie Adames. He's
Oh my
annoying.
God.
Oh no, I like Luis Urias. I fucking hate. I hate him too, but I don't hate him like that bad.
If I had to pick a current favorite player, I think I'd go with like Pete Alonso. Just because of the fact.
Oh
that
no, I think he's one of my least favorites actually.
Why?
Because he got taken down by Stubby Clapp.
Stubby
Remember that?
clap.
Do you remember that?
What? No.
The fight that happened against the Cardinals and Mets
yeah,
last year,
yeah,
and the
yeah.
first base coach Stubby Clapp took him down.
Yeah, I do
That
remember
was
that.
awesome. But I
Alright,
hate Pete Alonso.
Before we
Big,
start
strong guy.
slandering everybody in the MLB, let's move on.
Yeah, Pete Alonso's my least favorite player.
I
That's
just
my
hate the
answer.
MLB. That's it. I just hate
Yeah,
everyone
we
in the MLB.
We despise them. All right. This is from Coro will kill you or Coro kill you. What do you think Brendan Donovan's skill ceiling is?
Oh, he's a elite on base guy.
Yeah.
I think
Dude.
I mean he's can develop power, but I think maximum what I could see him doing, I don't see him hitting more than like 15 to be honest. And that's not a bad thing with his on base percentage and everything. I mean, he's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you want to talk about favorite players currently, Brendan Donovan is highly up there for me, honestly. Just because, again, I say it time and time and like all the time, it's just he's just such a battler. He gets on base all the time and just knows how to just keep like.
There was a
it
stretch,
coming.
Sean, when you were like, like when you were living with me for that little bit, where we were watching the games, and literally he was constantly on base. It did not matter. He was constantly doing something. He was either walking or getting a hit. It did not matter. He was constantly on base. It was ridiculous. He reminds me of like prime Matt Carpenter in that way, with how much he gets on base. So, but yeah, I think he'll probably be at peak. I think he's obviously a leadoff hitter with a 400 on base percentage, to be honest, and. Maybe if he develops that power like it's showing, I think he can hit around 15 home runs. But I mean, I don't think he needs to hit that at all. I think just the on base percentage is just enough for me.
All right. Next one. How many home runs will Nolan Gorman hit? From Nolan
40.
Gorman. His guy's name is Nolan Gorman Moonshot Enjoyer.
40. That's my prediction. I know it's
Okay.
a big take. 40.
He has
think he hits
83 in parentheses for some reason.
Because he's probably saying he's gonna hit 83.
Yeah, false.
He's gonna hit. I think he'll hit 40. I really do. He is. I mean, that's a really
under
bold prediction.
36.
Under.
The over under a set is 36 from Adam Sportsbook.
Over.
Under.
We got one over, one under. All right.
What do I
I mean, well, here's the thing. Nolan Gorman can either. I maybe 40 is too high. I think
you locked it in. You took
no,
the over.
I'm not locking in
You're
anymore. I'm
done.
taking it back.
Done.
Here's my
He's
lock
grabbed
in.
his key. He's
32.
grabbed his key and unlocking.
32. 32. 32.
So you want to take the under on 36.
Yes, 32. That's my actual final prediction. 32.
She
When I hear 40, I'm like, this is way too high.
All right.
I love Nolan Gorman though.
Last question from Justin Juice. Predictions for the top 3 underperformers this year. Adam Wainwright.
Adam Wainwright's number 1.
Yeah.
Paul DeYoung.
I was going to say Paul DeYoung too.
Now we have to pick someone from the starting lineup. Who will underperform? I hate to say this. I love all these guys, but
I kind of want to throw Dylan Carlson.
Dylan Carlson's my number 3. He really is. I hate to say that. I love Dylan. I hope I'm wrong, but
my number 3 that I'll say is Lars Newbar.
What? You're hating on the Newt train?
Hot take.
You're getting off the Newt train?
I'll do the hot take. No,
we need
still
a bell
on
for hot takes.
I'm still on the Newbar train, but let's just say he takes a step back this year.
I have a yodeling pickle we could do for hot takes. It's somewhere. I don't know where it's at.
But no, Newbar is not underperforming, Sean. You're just flat out wrong.
I'll take it. Sure.
Dylan Carlson, I think, is way more likely to underperform. And he's my 3rd pick. So, Adam, you and I are like full agreement on that.
Yeah, because I don't think Newt Bar.
Okay, hang on. Let's take this back a little bit. Let's do, instead of just. I don't think Paul DeYoung should count because I don't think he's a bench piece. He's a bench piece. So I think we should pick someone from the bullpen, rotation, or the lineup. So Dylan Carlson, Adam Wainwright. We have to pick one more. I'm going to pick a bullpen piece. Genesis Cabrera.
I mean, I could see it, but just overall, Paul DeYoung has had a starting position before.
He's not going to get it. He's not going to have
get it, but he's going to underperform still. No matter
but he
what.
won't play.
Even
He'll
when he's
barely
on the
play.
field,
How can he underperform when he barely plays?
He's going to underperform by not playing because he's just not. That's my.
I mean, yeah, Genesis Cabrera will be terrible this year, though. He will be bad.
If you gauge it, so the way I look at it is how well the rest of the team is doing from that person, not how they're doing compared to their past self. You know what I mean? So, like, if Arenado is lighting it up and he's, slugging, Goldschmidt is in MVP form, Newt Bar, anybody else like Brendan Donovan, O'Neal, Carlson, whoever, like, I look at the people who are hot and then I look at who is on the bottom of that list. And if that's okay where they're at, because that's what they're expected to be at, or if they're underperforming. Like Dylan Carlson had high hopes for a while, and now it's kind of like, okay, he's in the shadow of Arenado and Goldschmidt and like Brendan Donovan. I mean, all these people have kind of like high ceilings, And
Walker is the big one.
Walker, like Jordan, like especially with Jordan Walker coming in, and if he doesn't take that competition and like use it to his advantage and just like start lighting it up, and he's under everybody's radar, then that is what I view as under.
Dylan Carlson will not be on this team by August. I'm saying that right now.
You think they're gonna?
They're trading him.
Hot
They're trading him
take.
for a number one,
God,
like frontline starter.
We need a hot take, Bo, or something.
Yeah, I'll get a sound bar for next episode. Yes. That sound bar, a soundboard.
No shot.
And just like start reading off alarms.
I don't want that.
No, I want that. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. All right.
I mean,
is that all the questions, or is there more?
No, that's all. That's all. So overall, I would do a quick review of the podcast. 5-second rundown. Adam Wainwright sucks. Jordan Walker is very good at baseball. Blues are questionable, and Brendan hates Alex Rodriguez.
I like that 5-second rundown. That's good enough for me.
Quick review. So people, if you don't want to watch the podcast, just skip to the very end. I'll give you a 5-second rundown of what we talked about.
All right, bye. And then just leave it at that.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that completes everything. So we'll be back next week. We'll see how Jordan Walker does. He's in the lineup today, and he's probably gonna be playing. He's probably gonna be performing well today, I would assume. I think WBC starts. When does WBC start? Because I kind of want to talk about that whenever that starts. I think the pools start on March 7th. So yeah.
Thanks, Adam.
They will.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the WBC starts this week, so we'll probably talk about that next time. So other than that, that kind of completes everything. So don't forget to subscribe and leave your opinions or hot takes.
Yeah, tell us how wrong we are.
Tell me how wrong I am about Adam Wainwright, please. I want to be proven wrong. I really do. And tell me that I'm overreacting about Jordan Walker and that he's going to be a bust if you really want to. But
I want to meet that one guy who says that.
But anyway, we'll see you guys next week.